38 to Clapton Pond. I'd like to come back to where your work will go once you come out of your terrible, you know, sort of...
It might last forever.
Non-productive, I doubt it.
With some people it does.
Well, you're too intelligent, you see, that's the thing. I mean...
People a lot brighter than I have had writer's block forever.
It's not writer's block.
But it's anything block.
We're talking visual now, and I have the feeling that you may be going through a difficult time, but that, you know...
difficult times are great. It's the bland times that you can't do anything about.
Yes. Well,
bland is far worse than difficult.
Yes, but what you can do is accept and don't fight it, and then it'll work through. It'll work through. It's you know. So we'll go away from that for the time being. But and you've already discussed the business of we don't think the book works as it is.
Well, thank you. That resounding vote of
But
thanks.
it does work. It does work in terms of showing the power of your images and poetry. If you forget the fact that there's a slight problem with presentation.
Yes.
I was extraordinarily interested in the idea that you then go into what is, after all, a sort of philosophical section of quoting, you know, and bringing ideas from other people into it. That enlightens the reader and the viewer to the images, and you're aware of that.
Yes.
Other people.
Well, I'm not absolutely aware, but
it helps me to understand you as a thinker.
Good. Well, you know, there's the Alfred Hitchcock thing about MacGuffins. Somebody asked Alfred Hitchcock what a MacGuffin was, and there was something like that. It's something that you use to shoot lions in Scotland. But you can't shoot lions in Scotland. Well, that's no MacGuffin. The thing is that I was very, very lucky to be able to do psychology and philosophy. And really all the rest of my life has been spent trying to build on what I learnt. Because that really gave me the grammar by which all my thinking works. And so the questions that I used to do in philosophy were questions in philosophy of mind, really. And think philosophy of science, well, philosophy of anything. But say philosophy of mind. And so the book is not really about 10 years of unfortunate accidents. It's much more really about a lifetime of thinking, what does it mean to have a mind? And is that necessarily a good thing? Because there's the Russian filmmaker Andrei Tarkovsky, and he says that it is our capacity for shame that keeps us human.
Yes.
And I suspect he's right. Shame is, well, no, there should be an awful lot more to human life than shame, but it's the little it's the red light that shows that the computer's still switched on.
Right.
And I wish it wasn't, but it is, and I don't see any way that the red light could be anything else. And this endless self-monitoring and self-scrutiny, this is really the reason why I write in one of the poems that consciousness is a curse. And what the book is really about is whether consciousness is a curse.
Yes, I think that comes across. It certainly comes across. The book shows the person very fully.
Good.
And without the last section, it wouldn't. We would all suppose, you know, we would kind of think we know and not be sure. But when we read the last section, it's very clear where a lot of your stuff comes from, where it's going. That's why I don't think you'll stop.
Well, all I can say is that that's a great relief because, of course, I think none of us ever entirely knows what we're doing, or, more to the point, we never know entirely how well we've been received.
Is that important?
Yes, it's important to me because having abandoned the idea of gaining immortality through art, well, if you're 6 feet under, what does it matter anyway? All you're left with really is what you have been through and what you have learnt as something that can be imparted, something that can be shared, so that your life is not entirely in vain.
Yes, so the viewer or the reader is very important to you.
Very important.
You don't just do these things for yourself.
No, not at all.
Would that be insanity?
I don't know that it would be insanity, but it would be infinite frustration and futility. Doing things for yourself, yeah, would that be insanity? There's a jolly quote from Aaron Copland, the composer, about how each work is an act of self-discovery, and because you don't know exactly what it will be like, there is the process of finding out about yourself through work. But truth be told, I think I know myself quite well. So all I have left with is what maybe I can share with others so that they think, oh, we're just the same.
Ah, fine.
Things have not been in vain.
So, can I ask you, on the visual side, why digital and not painting or printing?
Well, the prosaic answer is very simple.
Well, it might be, but it's worth asking.
Yes, it is worth asking. The original reason I went digital was I had no space for a dark room and I had no studio, so you can't splash paint.
So you wanted to splash paint?
I don't know what I wanted to do.
Dwoskin painted in New York before.
Yeah, I used to paint.
Yeah, he's got some good pictures, and they have the painting, the film, if you like, has come out of the painting.
Yeah.
To this day, up to a point.
Yeah.
You know, so it does tie in sometimes.
You see, I don't know how far I would have got as a painter. You see, a really good artist, let's say that you're drawing a figure. If you look at a really magnificent piece of drawing, I mean, thinking of, say, for figure work, say Katie Koldwitz or something, it's as if they've actually put their hands in and they have felt under the skin and they are feeling around. Now that's somebody who loves drawing. Now I was a competent drawer, but all my drawings are surface.
Okay.
And I gained a lot more by doing things. It could be said that they had an element of pastiche. It could also be said that they had references to popular culture, which doesn't bother me at all, because apart from Warhol, think of the enormous power that this gave to German artists as the Nazis were coming in, whether it's John Hartfield or George Grosz. These references to what some would call popular culture, they're terribly important. I don't see the lofty art and the every, except that maybe it does occur to me that the move from the macroscopic to the microscopic is inevitably banal. But the great thing about digital art is you're never sure what's real and what isn't. You're never sure what was there and what's been contrived. But there's something deeper than that. You don't know what a surface appearance actually is. So one of the images I did, which was called the copulation of metals, and some people have compared that to H.R. Giger, and if that's true, I take that as a great compliment. But the thing was that this started out as a corkscrew.
Yes.
So what
Something
happens?
quite magical in that.
Yes, and what happens is that you can set in practice a process of evolution, which largely has a mind of its own. So that you're creating organisms which have a mind of, and you don't quite know how they're going to turn out.
Yes. That's the self-discovery bit.
That's the self-discovery bit. And also, one of the questions which sort of interested me from philosophy, if you're going to abandon the notion of soul, but it's also a question which becomes more and more important to you if people who are precious to you died. And that is, what is the difference between what is living and what is not living?